Hello and welcome to FYI. I'm Sonal Mehrotra Kapoor. On the show today, we tell you everything you need to know about this. Patanjali's Coronil kit, which they claim prevents and cures COVID-19. There is obviously a lot of debate about this, so we thought let's do a quick fact check. I actually went to a Patanjali store and bought this kit. What's inside this? How effective it is, if at all that is, against a coronavirus. This is what we will be decoding over the next 30 minutes. We'll also be joined by the head of Patanjali Research Institute, Dr. Anurag Varshney. Thank you so much for giving us time and joining us on NDTV. But before we hear from him and I unbox this kit for you, let's just refresh your memory a little on what has been the story of Coronil so far. And for better understanding, we have a timeline for you. So it all started on the 23rd of June 2020. Patanjali, Ramdev, Acharya Balakrishnan, some scientists had said, held a press conference and claimed that Coronil medicine cures COVID-19 in patients within 14 days. Just hours after that press conference, an alarmed Ministry of Ayush directed Patanjali to hold back all their advertisements, all their publicity, PR as well, until they have submitted research and data for the medicine. The ministry also asked for state licensing authority of Uttarakhand, in this case government, to provide copies of license and product approval details. Just a day after that, we heard from Y.S. Rawat. He is the license officer of Uttarakhand Ayurveda department, and he said that Patanjali's application didn't mention at all that coronavirus, this was a medicine for the cure. We only approve licenses for immunity booster, cough and fever. This is what they said. We'll issue them a notice also, they went on to say, asking how they got permission and how they made the kit for COVID-19. Now, it is at this time that doubts started trickling in. Did Ramdev's Patanjali lie about their claims? Did they launch a product without approval? What exactly is going on? By 27th of June 2020, an FYI was filed against Ramdev, Acharya Balakrishnan, Dr. Anurag Varshney, who's on the show with us today, and two other NIMS university officials as well, for allegedly making misleading claims that the herbal medicine company had found a cure for the pandemic. Now, 3 days post that FIR, Patanjali did a U-turn. In a statement, they said that company had never claimed that its newly tested medicines would treat coronavirus. In fact, on July 1st, we saw PR management, or some would like to call it a clever play of words as well, where they said that there was no restriction on coronavirus kit or the Coronil kit for COVID management. The word cure went away, the word management came in. That was taken down. A simple change of that word. These kits were made available across the country again. Then came another statement by Patanjali where they further said that we have procured license for these medicines from the State Department, which is connected with the Ayush Ministry. The treatment word is not used. These medicines do not even have metallic items. Well, not used, but said repeatedly in multiple interviews that Ramdev himself gave that day alone. So, all that happened in July of 2020, cut to October of 2020. When Dr. Harshvardhan, the health minister himself, released Ayush standard treatment protocol, which allows states to use for Ayurvedic medicine and yoga for treatment of mild or asymptomatic cases, making way thus for Patanjali's medicine to finally be floated under the new guidelines. But the thing to be noted here, of course, is that the kit came first, clearance from the government much later. Now, by November of 2020, Patanjali's Coronil kit had recorded sales worth 250 crores. That is just in 4 months since its launch. Estimated that more than 85 lakh units had already been sold and marketed as COVID-19 immunity booster kit by them. And then on 19th of February, that's when the big VIP press conference happened. The health minister, along with the road and transport minister, sat on the podium along with Ramdev and gave out the big news that the government of India and WHO had given clearance and certification that Coronil as a medicine for COVID-19 stood, and that Coronil was instantly then floated in the market, if you'll remember. This news so far, or if you'll remember, any news of any sort of clearance being given to any vaccine comes in from the drugs controller. In this case, that did not happen. Two union ministers sat on a podium and in a press conference endorsed the alleged cure themselves. That's what happened at around 10 o'clock in the morning. By evening, we saw yet another clarification put out by Patanjali on Twitter this time, saying that we want to clarify to avoid any confusion that our WHO GMP complaint COPP certification to Coronil is issued by DCGI, Government of India. It is clear the WHO do not approve or disapprove any drugs. WHO works for building better, healthier future for people all over the world, of course. WHO minutes before and after came out with this tweet where they said that they had not reviewed or certified the effectiveness of any traditional medicine for the treatment of COVID-19. WHO tweet came out, all hell broke loose on what exactly had happened. How is it? Were these blatant lies? Were these unverified claims made in the presence of India's health minister, later even endorsed from the health ministry and the health minister's personal Twitter account? He tweeted also excerpts sitting with Ramdev on that podium and talked about it and said this is a new and landmark moment. Well, questions like these had been raised and now they have found their way even in the Indian Medical Association, who in a strong worded letter today have criticized the minister himself along with Patanjali, saying that the Ayurvedic medicine Coronil to cure coronavirus, Patanjali fact check, they say it's a shame on part of Honorable Health Minister. The press release cites WHO tweets, calls for Patanjali and Ramdev's blatant deceiving of people of the country, concludes with saying that IMA respects pure, unadulterated Ayurveda, and let us not adulterate Ayurveda on the pretext of market gain to some monopoly corporate and create a disaster for humanity. Well, but despite all those checks and warnings, Coronil continues to be sold across India. For the sake of the program, I also went and picked up one myself. And well, we'll be talking about all those questions that I've just raised with our expert who joins us from Patanjali in just a bit. But before that, let me also just unbox the kit for you. I'm sure all of you are very anxious about what exactly is inside this kit. All right. So this is what it looks like. And it's a box which has about it is a kit because it's a combination of 3 medicines. There is one like this, which says it is a Coronil tablet. There is another one which says it is a Swasari Vati. And there is another which is actually a nasal drop. And then it also comes out with this letter which has a lot of specifications on what are the details, how are you supposed to have it, what clearance do they have, so on and so forth. It's in English and Hindi, can be read by anybody. Lots of details here that they have given out. But again, there are lots of questions as well, and let me start by asking all those questions to Dr. Anurag Varshney. Thank you so much for very patiently listening in also to what we have said on the program so far. I just want to begin by asking you, sir, one very significant question here. You're somebody who you're a scientist who worked on this kit, right? Can you tell our viewers how is it that these Ayurvedic pills are going to cure COVID-19?
Sonal, I heard you, all the good background you generated and you got from different media, whether it's a print media or from the electronic media. But I would like to re-emphasize that the 2 things which are important that I would like to bring it out to you and to the whole viewer of NDTV, which I'm thankful that you called me on for. That I clarify, I emphasize and re-emphasize that Coronil indeed is the evidence-based Ayurvedic medicine for COVID-19.
Okay,
and
what
when
is that
we
evidence?
say the word COVID-19, COVID-19 and its evidence means that we have conducted a very well detailed controlled clinical trials which you generally do for the pharma industry. In Ayurveda, most of people do not really conduct that. Those trials are certified by the Institutional Ethics Committee. They are there on the CTRI, which is a Clinical Trial Registry of India. They are also there on the WHO website for the compendium
let's just take
of all
a pause
the clinical
button
trials.
here. Let's just take a pause button here, doctor, because I want to go into details one by one, okay? So I'll throw some rapid fire questions at you, and it'll be nice if you can answer that, okay? You talked about trials. Let me start by asking that. How many people have you conducted these clinical trials for Coronil for?
The controlled clinical trial, which we call double-blinded placebo-controlled clinical trial, it has been conducted for the 100 people which were part of the study. And that data is there in the public domain as well. And that paper was also shown in the press conference that we conducted on 19th of February that you talked about.
Okay. So you have conducted, I'm just getting that answer again. You've conducted this trial on 100 people, and I have some details which said that it happened in Delhi and Meerut. Only 2 people, only two places.
No, that's the reason I'm trying to tell you, Sonal. I think sometimes it's good to get your facts right. This trial was conducted in Jaipur, and it's already published in a journal called Phytomedicine, which is there in the public domain. Anyone can go and read that. It is there.
Okay. So what are you trying to, in these trials, were these done on people who are all healthy, are young, or did you do it in the format where even those with comorbidities, even those who are older people, they were tested with these kits?
So to answer this question, this trial was conducted in the people who were asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic, and they were admitted in the COVID facility of the NIMS hospital. And they were given this medication. I also want you to understand that this trial was conducted in the month of June. The plan happened in the month of May, where the corona was at its max. That time conducting the trial was the topmost priority. And I really want to say that this is again a registered trial. Anyone can go on the website and check it out on CTRI and also through IAC.
Okay,
various parameters, the data is also there on the public domain.
And these are all people who had COVID, and you tested them on COVID positive people?
All the patients who were part of the trial were COVID positive certified by RT-PCR, and our primary target was to look for the rate of the recovery on those patients. One thing I would like to again say it again, in Ayurveda, generally placebo-controlled trials not done. Patanjali Research Institute in collaboration with NIMS University did the placebo-controlled trial, where you make the dummy tablet, which does not have the medication, but they look and feel like the normal medication. Those were given of half of the patients.
I understand that. Let me ask you this. So a lot of vaccines that have come in as a cure at this point, not really as a cure, as something of a prevention of sorts, they develop antibodies. Are you saying that Coronil will give people antibodies? No, we are never saying so. And that's the reason I think I have a very humble request to you and to everyone who's listening to it, to decode the science behind the disease and its working or its medication should be left to the scientists and the doctors. Coronil does not give antibodies because it is not designed or made for it. This is a classical Ayurvedic medicine, contains 3 plants which have been used by most of people across centuries. Even you would have used as well in past. Tulsi, Giloy and Ashwagandha. 3 plants, that's all it is. Okay. And is there an efficacy data that you can produce if you're saying you've done trials, even if it is on just 100 people? That's the reason. Please go back to a phytomedicine paper and you can read all data about it. It is detailed. It's talked about the rate of recovery. It also tells about the cytokines level in the serum of the patients who has been given Coronil or who has not been given the components of Coronil. So the trial was done with the 3 individual plants and as well as the 2 components you showed in the kit beautifully. Thank you for showing that. Swasaribati and Anutela. Okay. I also want to understand, and lots of questions on, you are saying you've done the trial, NIMS is saying they've helped you on it. Now there's an FIR against you and NIMS as well for even making these claims. But has there been, is this study and been peer reviewed? Of course, the Phytomedicine is a peer reviewed journal, impact factor 4.2, published by Elsevier. Okay, so it has been peer reviewed, you're saying? It is peer reviewed and published. I really request you to go back and check it over there. And not only this, we have also found the mode of action, how these medications work. And on that basis, we went ahead and actually requested for the license update. So we know the components of this medication does affect the interaction of the COVID virus with the human cells. And that data is also peer reviewed and it is out there in the press like in next couple of days. Can you tell me who reviewed it and when? I mean, I'm also educating myself on this one. We'd love to do a fact check. I really like.
Yeah, please repeat your question if you can.
Could you tell me who's reviewed this? Who's peer reviewed this
Peer-
entire study?
Peer reviews are done in a blinded manner by the journals. We are not allowed to know who are the reviewers for the paper that we submit. We submit this paper to the Phytomedicine journal. The editor of the journal actually chooses whom is going to review it. All I can tell you that this paper went through the 3 review cycles, and after the 3rd review cycle, it was accepted by the journal and it came in the press.
Okay. Doctor, can you tell me then so far whatever clearances have come from the drug controller themselves. Why hasn't this clearance for this medicine come from the drug controller?
Okay, so good question that you asked, Sonal. I'm very happy because this is going to iron out a lot of creases that we have right now. So the Drug Controller General of India issues a license called COPP, which means for Certificate of Pharmaceutical Products. So that is given for the medications which can get that license. On the basis of that license, the drug can be exported out. And that license is actually having all the parameters that WHO sets up for good manufacturing practices. Those license copies are with us, and we have also shown those on the 19th February of press conference. They have been released to everyone. If
and
you
according
want,
to that license, you are okay to sell this in India and some 158 other nations. This is where it's going as well. Can you give a confirmation on that? India is sending these kits to 158
COPP license
nations?
allows Coronil to be exported to 158 countries of the world.
Okay, and the rollout has already happened?
This is still under management decision. See, I'm a scientist. I can talk to you about the science.
Okay. Okay. And as a scientist, can you tell me what are your thoughts on the vaccine then?
Vaccines are different thing altogether, Sunil. And I think this is going to come to the same point you raised, that is going to educate you. Yes, it's going to be. So what vaccines does that they actually kickstart our immunity, which is called adaptive immunity, where it actually generates the antibody. You give out either a dead virus or a pseudo virus, which has the coating protein of the COVID virus. So vaccine is going to give a different kind of protection or different way of protection, while Ayurvedic medication is going to enhance the innate immunity to give a different kind of protection. So both are two different things. Apple and oranges.
Okay, I have to take a break, but you know, there is a question that has repeatedly come to me on social media, and I have to ask you this. Nobody is doubting the power and the potential of Ayurveda at this point. But can you tell us if this is simply an immunity booster, meaning having these dosage in moderation will build up immunity and thus prevent, or do you still claim that if you have COVID, you will cure it by only having this?
I would say the both thing. I would like to use the word that if people who are COVID positive and if they take Coronil along with Swasari and Anutel, they would get treatment benefits. And we do have a patient's data. Lots and lots of patients have taken it, and you said yourself that there is a big amount of sale that has happened. So many kits have been sold. If medicine was not working, why so much sale would happen? So there is a lots and lots and lots of data that they are in the public domain, and also socially, if you can check it out, that people are getting the benefit out of it. And
some
our
people
clinical
also
trial
saying
data
if
shows for sure
medicines
that
were
it
not
does give a
working, why is
treatment
the
benefit.
government spending so much on vaccines? They could simply be rolling out these kits, and that would be the end of COVID if you know it.
That's a one point, that's a one perspective one could look into it. But again, as I said, there are two ways of acquiring the immunity. Either you can do it through a vaccine or you can kick up your immune system as well. But as I also again emphasize that vaccine is not a treatment for the COVID. Vaccine can only protect you, if at all, for an infection that may happen in the future. But a medicine, herbal medicine, would actually give you a treatment benefit for a patient who already become a positive by the COVID infection. So there are two fundamental differences.
Right. I understand that. All right.
Thank you,
Dr. Varshney, thank you so much for giving us time and clarifying all those details for us and very graciously taking all those questions as well. So Dr. Varshney, they're saying very clearly that the trial has been done on 100 people. It has been done on people who are positive, and they feel it's not just a booster but a cure. But we wait to hear from the drugs controller perhaps. It is after all them that they believe, that all of us as a country believe the most when it comes to a cure on this. Quick break.